Are we on?
Yeah.
All right. Hey everybody, it's Luke. Had a question from a friend of mine last night on Facebook, and she's training for a half marathon. I'm not really sure why she's doing that, but apparently she's trying to enjoy running. And she was talking about she's getting cramps in her hamstring. And usually about halfway through a run, and then it's one of her hamstrings. Doesn't completely cramp, but it just bothers her enough that she's not quite able to run as long as she wants to. She also said she's doing well with stretching when she does yoga and things like that. It tends to feel better. So she was just asking me, what can I do to get rid of that cramping in the hamstring and to keep running? So I gave her some advice, and I told her to make a video for her as well. So thanks for the inspiration here, Jen. Before you know it, this video will probably be viral and have at least a dozen views. So there we go. Maybe 2 dozen. So anyways, the first advice I said, well, it sounds like yoga and stretching feels good. So start stretching your hamstrings and maybe just stretch them for longer. So basic hamstring stretches, there's a lot of ways to stretch your hamstring. Any position you can get yourself in, or you can get like your leg up on a table or a couch or a railing or whatever, and then just lean forward at your hip, keeping your back straight so you get a nice pull on your hamstring. That's a good stretch. You should feel it right through the back of your thigh there. And when I talked about stretching longer, kind of the basic rule of thumb for any of your muscle stretches is 30 seconds. But hamstrings are pretty big muscles. There's actually 3 big muscles back there. So bump that 30 seconds up to like 60. So again, this is a good way to stretch. You could be on a stretching table going like this too. The other thing that I didn't mention to her is that your hamstring muscles actually go, 2 of them go to the inside of your knee, and 1 of them goes to the outside of your knee. All 3 of them attached to that sit bone that you sit on in your butt there. So basically what that means is that if you add a rotation into your hip, so you just turn your hip and your toes in and stretch, you'll feel it stretch more on the outside. And if you turn it out and stretch in, you can do it on the inside too. So if you want to start stretching a little more preferentially, stretch the inside for a while, then stretch the outside for a while. That might be helpful as well. We also talked about self-massage, which I just did a video on self-massage techniques with balls and foam rollers and another like classic hard roller. But hamstrings, they're a good one if you're going to lay on the ground. You can do a foam roller stretch just on the ground, or you could even just do it sitting here and just kind of do some self-massage through there, breaking up any scar tissue or anything like that. If you want to dig a little deeper, you can use massage balls too. These are kind of like lacrosse balls when they're a little harder, pretty solid, or you can use a tennis ball, 1 or 2 at a time. And you can just get your body weight in there and just dig into your hamstrings there. Or if you've got a spouse or someone who wants to, if you lay in your stomach and they'll massage it for you, that's great too. Another way to stretch the hamstrings for a longer period of time, kind of a funky one, but you can actually lay down like in a doorway. And I'm not the best example because I'm not very flexible with my hamstrings. And get your leg up on the wall. And again, this is another way to do more of like a prolonged stretch. And again, your knee would be straight. Again, I'm not the best example. Same thing I talked about up there. You can rotate your hip in or out. And then there's also a nice technique you can do with the wall. It's called the hold relax technique. And you want to be careful with this one just because it's a little more aggressive. But basically what I can do is take my hamstring to stretch. I'm going to scoot back a little bit. And if I'm at home, you got to take your shoe off, right? Otherwise you're in trouble, or at least clean up after yourself. So from here, I can push my heel down into the wall. And when I do that, I'm actually contracting or activating the hamstring. I can do that gently for about 5 or 6 seconds and then relax. And you can do that up to about 6 times. So think a 6-second push 6 times. Don't do that more than once a day, because with that one, if you overdo it, you're going to hurt. So just kind of tread softly with that one. So again, that's the hold relax technique, and what you've done is you've taken that hamstring muscle and you've stretched it as far as it will kind of let you stretch at that point, and then you've contracted some of those muscle fibers, and actually when you do that, you should notice an immediate gain in your range of motion there, so it'll actually lengthen that muscle pretty quick. So those are the main things I was talking to Jen about. Holding stretches for longer, rotating that leg in and out so you can kind of preferentially target different parts of the hamstring, doing some self-massage, and then trying some hold relax. With any luck, that'll work for you, Jen, and for anyone else who's watching this, that'll work for you, and at least let you run without that hamstring cramping. And as with most of these things, hopefully this should all be well tolerated. If you have any other problems going forward, of course you might want to consult with either your physical therapist or your physician, but just get some advice before you try to push through this thing, because worst case scenario, you actually end up hurting your hamstring. So I hope that helps, and as usual, if you have questions, please email me or leave a comment below the video. I'll put all my contact information in the description. Thanks for watching. Have fun running.